usually praying. That's why I'm
Always on Time is a J-Lo lyric, right?
No, it's a shanti.
Oh,
Ashanti.
Ashanti. Whatever, it all blends
It
together.
just popped in my head when she said that.
It was
I heard it. It was like, "You're always on
it
time."
was it was 2003. That's too
Yeah,
far
right.
back to have to be told we have to remember it.
Oh.
You're
Um,
always on time.
Yep. That
I don't know that song, but I love the way
Oh,
I love the way you sang it, Liberty.
I liked that song because, there was a lot of like low-key good like I don't know if you call it like R&B. A bunch of them had Ja Rule on it. I am embarrassed
Oh,
to
Yeah, he was
geez.
on
say.
that
Oh,
one, I
dear.
think.
Yeah. And I like it was my
This is a
secret
song
like
you think I'm gonna like, and it has Ja Rule on
it
it?
was guilty
yeah.
pleasure.
Oh,
I mean for
Stefan,
the
you won't
time.
like it.
For the
Oh.
time.
Okay.
It was when you hear it, you'll know it. It was big in New York. It was always coming out of cabs
Yeah.
and
That's
playing
what
in
I mean.
bodegas.
Um,
It is, yeah, I would describe it as bodega music.
And
Yep.
where even
It,
is Ashanti these
it's
days?
it's the song. Oh, she's
To Nelly.
married to, and they have a bunch of
Oh,
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, so
all
she's just
right.
cashing in her
Well,
paychecks and
speaking of Madonna, did you guys hear the, I guess, remix of music by Darren?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
making the
it's
rounds. I
pretty good.
saw.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
2 minutes of whatever it is, but it's,
yeah,
oh, and I was listening to it the other day. I had it on at work really loud, and I was like, well, it's music 25 years later,
yeah, for
Mm.
sure.
Oh yeah,
primed
yeah,
and
yeah, the one you
pumped for
said.
Hmm.
speakers, but it's just funny how it just kind of came out and without any fanfare.
Yeah.
I've been loving the music playlist that she shared last
Hmm.
week.
Hmm. All right, let's go.
You're listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your place for all things Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone. Here to talk about my spirituality tonight. It's Liberty, everybody. Good evening.
Hey guys, it's Tony. This is your wake up call. Madonna has finally done a podcast, and it wasn't ours.
Hmm.
Circle that is life. Maybe she will come back around to this one. That is my prediction for tonight. Om Shanti, I'm Ben.
And hey, everybody, it's Stefan. Welcome to another episode of MLVC, the Madonna podcast. Thank you for joining us tonight. I would like everyone to take a deep breath, set an intention, let your troubles and worries fall away. Make yourself present to the here and the now because there's plenty of goings on in the Madonna verse.
She took us there.
That's right.
Yeah, and she
Don't just
talked our
stand
ear
there.
offs too.
Let's get to it. It's time for another This Week in Ciccone. Well, Madonna, as Ben noted, did finally do a podcast, and it was not MLVC. We will forgive her. She was just trying to stretch her legs and get, wipe off the cobwebs. She's not used to this world, and we're happy that she's practicing on those lower rung podcasts that that have a small audience that she's not really going to embarrass herself. We're more than welcome to welcome her with open arms and legs here at MLVC, so
Hmm.
whenever she's
And she
ready.
had to warm up the grills.
Yeah, I mean
Yes.
it's a different kind of show. She can talk about spirituality and her, you know, spiritual internal life on that show, but on this show she'd be talking about Nikki Finn and Tony Ward.
Oh, Tony Ward.
I know. So obviously, we'll set the scene. Madonna appeared on the Jay Shetty podcast on purpose about her spiritual journey. She was joined by her Kabbalah instructor, Eitan, after the first hour, and they had a very in-depth conversation. I woke up early on Monday to listen to it, the audio portion, and then I let it sort of simmer and digest in my head. And then I watched the video version of it last night. It's a lot. There's a
Hmm.
lot to take in. There's a lot that they talked about. Um, and but I wanted to start by saying, because there's been a lot of division on this podcast on this podcast episode that Madonna did with Jay Shetty. I've seen a lot of people commenting that they loved it. They were so happy that she did this. And then there's the flip side where a lot of people were saying they felt this was a waste of time. They didn't learn anything new, that we've heard it all before. We've heard it all before. We've heard it all before. But
Sorry.
yeah, sorry. I will say this. I was watching it. I think it was a different experience to watch the episode than it was to listen to it. So listening to it, I was able to sort of like wander and make, like go, I guess like reading a book or listening to an audiobook, my mind was doing the work. Whereas watching the episode, I was so focused on her, and because we don't see her doing this type of interview anymore. She's done a couple little like Jimmy Fallon appearances, but like they said at the top of the interview with Jay Shetty, this was the first in-depth interview she's done in about 9 years. And I just watched and felt like I was watching like almost a new Madonna in some way. I think because it's been so long since we've watched her talk that to me, I was just like openly fascinated. Like
Yeah.
I almost wished that we could have like a 10 episode series of her just talking about different topics, because I felt like we're so starved for hearing her talk about things that I was like, okay, fine. This was her spiritual episode. And then maybe we'll get an episode where she's like talking about fashion, and where she's talking about movies, and where she's talking about art, and where like just anything that she wants to talk about. But like each would be like, and it was just so fascinating to just watch her and listen to her talk. So what did you all think?
I mean, I love her voice and I love listening to her. So that was the main thing, just kind of being in that space with Madonna and hearing her speak. And I love how articulate she is and how every thought has a lot of intention. It was unexpected and a little jarring to hear her talk about her near-death experience, about her mother, um, her thoughts of suicide when Rocco left Rebel Heart to go be with his father. These are very um, un-Madonna-like subjects to talk about. And
Hmm.
then to compound that with everything she said about Christopher, I mean, I got a chill in my body that I could not get rid of, because it was almost as if I was overhearing a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear, to hear her that vulnerable and that open, but at the same time, very guarded
Yeah,
and very exact with how she phrased everything.
for sure. Yeah, I think that was one of the overriding feedback that we were hearing, a lot of comments and a lot of people messaging, was that we weren't learning anything necessarily new. A lot of
Mhm.
what she talked about is stuff that we've heard her talk about since she began her studies with Kabbalah back in 1996. And I think people were looking for a bit more info about the album. That
Yeah.
wasn't the intention. That's not why she was there. I think people, just wanted to hear something new, and maybe we did get some. I did think the part where she mentioned, about she had suicidal thoughts, when she was having her fallout with Rocco. I thought that was pretty shocking, and there were. There was that. I think there was the personal side of it,
Hmm.
the interview that she did, but then I also felt like there was the Kabbalah side where she was sort of talking about teachings that she's learned, the
Hmm.
lessons that she's engaged with her instructor, and the issues that she's sort of had to grapple with and struggle with over the past 26 years that she's sort of been studying. Liberty, what were your thoughts listening to or watching? Did you do both? Did you just do one?
I did not, I really didn't have the time to do two listens yesterday. Um, I listened first in sort of chunks just because I have a life that I had to do. But in fact, I kind of w was surprised it wasn't like a two-parter. I
Yeah.
think Jay really could have done a 2 episode deal there with her,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, when I
and
saw
people
two
would have
hours and
tuned in for
15 minutes,
sure.
I was like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
not too many podcasts go past the hour anymore.
Yeah.
yeah. So I didn't watch, and I will because I think I could get, I did go back and listen to like little bits because I wanted to make sure that I heard what I heard or that I understood what I thought I understood from her because some of it, again, there's some vague bits like you mentioned. I think the guardedness is probably what you're referring to, Tony, and it can come across a little bit um mysterious, which is
Hmm.
good because that's sort of in the Madonna world, right? I mean, I think she knew that, of course fans are going to tune in. People want more. And I think she's careful with what she gives us a lot of
Yeah.
times. And I think that there's some evidence in this episode of that. Um, I see a lot of sort of back and forth. I see a lot of very like people who feel, yes, this is the type of thing I want to hear more of from Madonna. This is exactly what I've been thinking about, and hearing her say it sort of justifies like the feelings that I'm feeling, and or it's drawing me back into Kabbalah because a lot of people went down that road, especially after Ray of Light, and when they realized that was, a big part of the Confessions era, and how we got so much of it. And I'm going to tell you a secret, myself included,
Hmm.
who was even a part of, I even did like a Yahoo study group. If you're out there and if you were in that group, I have like vague memories. But who really got into and read a lot of books, and had the red string and everything. And so we're kind of, in a way, it's nostalgic, right? Thinking about that era and how it, it, they were lessons that I too was learning, and I was at the time young enough to sort of need that to understand how to grow and
Sure.
how to
Just for
take
life in
things.
general.
Yeah, a lot of the things that she spoke about are the same, like it all sort of washed back over me, the lessons that I remember at the time, think that were profound. The
Hmm.
things like forgiveness and radical acceptance and understanding that
Mm-hmm.
certainty is really everything. The everything happens for a reason. There's sort of another faction of fan reception that I saw where it is she sounds completely out of touch. She
Mm.
sounds like she's not um like, how can she know all these difficulties? I mean, it's easy to forget as fans that she is a human at the end
Right.
of the day. And this is what the message I would sort of send to those people is it doesn't it doesn't mean that she cannot have the human experience, such as loss, such as motherhood.
Hmm.
Those things are still very real to her. It just so happens that her bank account is significantly larger, and everybody wants to be her in her
Yeah.
circle.
Sure.
Um,
Well, I mean, I think, everyone should sort of realize this. Even if you're wealthy, problems don't go away. They just become more complex. They just become
Right.
slightly difficult. Like watching that video of her wandering in the streets of Paris yesterday. I mean, she's being flanked by people. Like, I walk to the gym, I don't think about it.
Yeah.
I walk to the grocery store. It's not like, is someone following me? Are people gonna, like
Right.
that? I don't have to worry about that. She
Yeah.
does. Like, she can't go any, like, and to me, that's something that we take for granted.
right.
Like, our privacy, our personal space is
Hmm.
something that we don't have to focus on. She does. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
although that's part of the trade-off, her fame comes with that. That's the trappings of that. And she knows that. She's addressed that, drown world substitute for love in that video. Like, she's aware of that. But at the same time, it's like, that's something we don't have to worry about. So,
Hmm.
like, yes, Madonna has all this money and she can like fly around the world and do this and wear this and blah blah and go to these parties, and it's amazing, but she doesn't have personal space. So it's like there's
Yeah.
a trade-off.
But then at the same time, when she has a loss in her family, or, you know, there's love lost, there's no amount of money in the world that's going to get that back.
Right.
And for a lot of people in her situation, that's that's like an ego moment where they're like, oh my God, I'm not indestructible. I am not impenetrable. I'm just like anyone else. I just have more, and all this more doesn't get me more
Mm-hmm.
And not
in
only
this
that,
moment,
but those stages like of grief, for example,
Yeah.
she has to do that as a public figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that people will forever ask her about. It'll always come up in an interview. Fans will, if you have the opportunity to meet her, somebody would just say something dumb like, "How are you doing since your brother passed away? How are you
Yeah.
doing?"
And she's like, oh, why am I being reminded of that by you?
Yeah, it's so much larger, at least people that I know don't ask me about those types of things that
Yeah.
I've gone through, all the time because I can't imagine reliving your worst,
Right.
feeling all the time
Yeah.
publicly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Ben, what are your thoughts on overall of the interview?
I'm not religious, but I felt a little moved by nothing she said, but
I
more
hate
so
you.
to the fact that we had adult Madonna back, who
Yeah.
we have not seen since Confessions. We had a flash of her at Secret Project Revolution, but that was cool, but it was so ridiculously pretentious. But maybe it's the Kabbalah element because Liberty mentioned I'm going to tell you a secret. And that was her biggest Kabbalah period after Ray of Light was American Life to Confessions and yeah,
Well, so Ben,
somebody in the
what do you mean by adult Madonna? Just for people
I
who are
well
wondering.
because so I mean let's be honest, since she got on Instagram, it's been a whole lot of ridiculousness, and you forget. And she will then give the occasional interview where she's like, "Oh, I'm an artist." Da, da, da. But I just think part of why I wore the Madam X t-shirt tonight is because I remember so much of the press from that era, and she just came across as like a petulant brat.
Mhm.
And so it was nice to see mother back. Let's take a twist on that term as the kids use it. And the Madonna that was very articulate during the Ray of Light era and the music era and honestly the high second period, Ray of Light to Confessions, right? Like for me, that's like the golden time, erotica notwithstanding. And I felt like we got that version of her back. And it was interesting because somebody in the chat just said something about she didn't seem as evolved as you would think she is. But I always point out to people that she's the first to admit that she is driven by ego and her super
Mhm.
ego. And that person, we finally got to see that person again, and that person could talk about the medical experience, although she talked about it ad nauseum on the tour. So it
Sure.
doesn't surprise me she's going to talk about it. It did surprise me that she talked about her brother, which to
Yeah.
me was song titles. Yeah, whatever. Those could change between now and the album coming out. But what she said about her brother and her son, I thought was most interesting because she really has not spoken on those things in that manner at all before. And there was signs of erudition there where she did take something and learn from that experience and it maybe
Mhm.
changed her and made her a better person. So yeah, that I mean I agree with everybody that it was nice to see her in a long form format and she was being articulate. Sure, it was most of it was not anything about the light. I'm like, oh my God, we need to do a live stream where we just like play it and then we do a shot every time they say the light. And I'm like, I'll be on the floor in the first
Yeah.
45 minutes and I have a strong constitution.
I was waiting for her to
But
start talking about that curtain, when she used to always talk about the curtain and then the big
oh my
picture and
God. Yeah, yeah. Several people in the chat were like, I listened to it on two times the speed. And I was like, why didn't
oh,
I think of that?
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
I did think of
Duh.
it, but I thought no, because I really want to hear how she sounds naturally.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
more of
Yeah,
my
same.
because
yeah.
I just love the sound of her voice. I love her little
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. I love all her little vocal ticks and
Yeah,
nuances
Mhm.
that
Mm,
grown
mm.
up Madonna had developed. Those had all come back and
yeah,
not in a condescending or dismissive way. And I really appreciated seeing
yeah,
that person who I think of as the adult version of the pop performance artist and what she's become. So actually it gives me a lot of hope for the next project, because I'm like, oh, she's found her grounding again, as she said, through suffering, through challenge,
Hmm.
and through adversity. So yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see if she finally has, because it feels like she's been, the last several eras, it's been very reactive, and she has reacted to things, and she was like, oh, everybody's out to get me. I'm persecuted. I'm being told I'm old and I can't show my butt, and da da da. And what I saw in whole there was that maybe she's like, to that, and
Mm.
Hmm.
she's like, okay, I'm going to go back to doing me and making art and thinking about myself again as a whole person. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, to echo what you're saying, she did not go into brat mode. When we know this from being Madonna fans for so long, when she doesn't like someone who's interviewing her, she doesn't trust the process, she doesn't like the conditions, she turns into a brat and she just throws venom, spits venom right back at them. But she was very open and vulnerable with this guy. So I feels like, I think someone mentioned, or I read somewhere, that they'd been talking for a few months. So,
Yeah, Jay had even said that, they had had copious amounts of FaceTime
hmm
conversations. Obviously, she wanted to make sure that she could trust him and
hmm
be open with him. And so to address the slowness of it, I actually think that's what was so fascinating about it, was to just watch her and take her in. Like, we don't get moments like that. Like, it was literally 2 hours, and there were some slight edits, but I think that was because it was even longer. Like, I think they truncated some of it. Maybe it was 2.5, and they like chopped out 15 minutes or something. But she was so still and so settled and so calm and present. And for me, I was tripping out over the fact that I'm like, I can't believe she gave this guy this much time. Like,
hmm
usually she wants to just like get over and done with, the interview. Like, she'll do a pithy Jimmy Fallon interview, which is like 10 minutes at most with commercial breaks. And she gave this guy 2.5 hours, and she was in it and talked about it. And I
Hmm.
do feel they recycled some things after like the first hour. She should have came back and said some of the same things over and over again. But that's fine, like to reaffirm things and to like revalidate things. Um, Question: why do we think she did this interview now? Why was she talking about, other than, obviously, I know she's got those spiritual lessons that her and Aton, her instructor, they like dropped that on the Kabbalah.com website, and like, and for anyone who's interested, you can go on the Kabbalah.com website and subscribe for $1. It's just $1. I haven't done it yet. It's a suggested donation. You can't do nothing, so you have to do $1, and they resubscribes every month, so you have to cancel after you do it. I haven't yet done it yet, but I do want to, so I could sort of see what her lessons are like. But I
She's,
other
I
than
think she's
other than that, what do we think is at play here? Why now is she doing this?
it doesn't feel like some shrewd PR move, but at the same time, I feel like she's speaking honestly about her experience in the last few years and her spirituality. Kind of, I mean, this is my take on it. Kind of trying to reintroduce herself to the world, not necessarily her fans, as not this caustic, untouchable type of person, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
she's re-engaging, because
Yeah.
I've appreciated that one thing she has highlighted on her social media is she's back in museums, and she's talking more about art, and she's engaging with art and film, which she has done forever. But it seems more specific. So I feel like she is, as she's, if you did say in the podcast that she's working on the album. So no, I mean, I don't know when they recorded it, um, but I feel like it's part of a larger re-engagement, not necessarily with fandom or
hmm
career, but just with the world. Yeah.
This landscape is very different from any she had encountered before releasing albums in the past. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, this would have been Madonna on Oprah with
Right.
the Rabbi, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and
Liberty
even
Ro-
during Madam X, wasn't even really given the opportunity to do things like this. She had to put together her iHeartRadio thing. She had to do Graham Norton,
Right, right.
and that was it, you know?
Liberty, what were your thoughts on why she's doing it now?
I would say first and foremost, I think that it's a good idea for her to center a bit pre whatever's about to come. I think she's intelligent enough to know that when she's grounded, it seems to really it sets forth an energy. Now, I'm not saying this to say like this next album is going to like be the ray of light, be the confessions that we've all been, dreaming of. I say it more to say when and they talk about it, right? Setting these intentions and what do you think about that, Madonna? And I think and those sort of manifesting ideas. I think that it's important enough to her, or this is important enough to her that she's setting forth the intention, right? By grounding herself again into
Mm-hmm.
what and who she's been since she became a mother, which is her greatest role of her life. Yes, she's a pop star. Yes, she's our favorite, but that is the biggest role. Um, I also think that, and I personally, I actually kind of thought she drifted away from Kabbalah for a while. I thought that, despite seeing the red string in photos, over and over, um, I really kind of thought maybe she just was sort of like, how she did with yoga, right? It was like she
Mm-hmm.
did it, it was life, it was everywhere, it was like who she was, and then all of a sudden she didn't mention it anymore. It wasn't part of the identity that we knew of. Um,
And not to say that, and I'm not that I'm speaking on your behalf, but like not to say that you feel she's being inauthentic
no, no,
in
no.
her Kabbalah practice or her yoga practice. It's just as with life, sometimes you do something full on for a long period of time, and then maybe it's just not so important anymore.
Right. Well, and I think also, just like a lot of people have this experience that you go through some really hard things, and where do you turn to? I mean, most people turn to faith, or they're asking these big questions like, why did this happen this way? And we need whatever it is that feeds our soul. If for her that this is that, then I think that it's a really good like grounding thing that she's doing for herself.
Yeah.
And again, and yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't mean to insinuate that she's doing this as like a
Uh,
part of some kind of like,
Trendy.
yeah, because remember, like I was so successful with Ray of Light, like I'm gonna like, do it again. Or I was like
Right.
so, into it in Confessions because and I've said this before, even in Confessions, like it was a take it or leave it feeling. Like you really
Hmm.
don't need to see that if you don't want to. It does not, it wasn't, to me, I can separate, I'm going to tell you a secret from Confessions completely,
Oh
even
yeah.
though they come out like around the same time, right? I didn't have those two things on the same plate.
Right.
And I think that you can do this now. It's a part of who she is. It does not have to be the part of her that you most resonate with or the part of her that you even want to interact with at all if you
Hmm.
don't want to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think that's sort of where I feel maybe she's trying to just like put herself in different spaces to one, reach people with her message of teachings and like this is something that meant a lot to her. Maybe other people will get affected, or can be helped by it as well. I appreciated that during the interview she did talk about her light and her energy and how she's just a vessel for she's the manager of her talent, not the owner, and how she's there to help, like just basically help like with her spiritual life. She wants to share it in hopes that like other people can get something out of it too. um, so I wanted to ask all of you, what your big takeaway was. What's your favorite takeaway from the conversation? Mine was the third space theory. I teed this up in our pre-show,
Hmm.
where they said, you have three back in the 50s. Jay Shetty had mentioned you would have work, home, and church or slash community center, which was your place to be able to look back and reflect. And over time, we've lost church. Then we lost the workspace thanks to COVID. So basically, now there's no real space to look back and reflect. And as a remote, yeah, and then as Madonna pointed out, we're all on our cell phones. So we're being sucked into this virtual world. So we're really not even using home anymore.
Yeah.
As a person who works virtually from home, and I don't have an office to go to, and I'm not in I don't follow an organized religion any longer. That spoke to me so much. I was like, okay, I'm like, I can see, and I've always said that, where I'm like, I crave going into an office again, because then I actually would appreciate coming home. Like almost like the distance away from home by being in the office would make me appreciate, I'm home again. And I
Hmm.
think even like now, and that's my goal now, is to find like a community, sort of like some sort of like safe haven, a spiritual haven of some sort, to be able to like appreciate work and home, because I'm like, yeah, I desperately need this in my life. So I think for me, that was the one thing that spoke so much to me,
Hmm.
was that. I don't did anyone get anything else from like where you were like, oh my God, yes.
That resonated a lot with me too. I mean, because even without having the words for what they were speaking, I was like, well, yeah, I kind of have created my third space here. It's nature. It's,
Mm,
living in a place where I have access to nature, and that's where I escape to. In Brooklyn, it used to be smoking weed and watching movies in my apartment on the
yeah.
weekends, and that's no longer my life. My life is like, I have a place where I go to work, I have a place where I live, but then I have this great wide expanse in my neighborhood, in my area, that I have to take advantage of and commune with. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
The other thing that I loved is, I love it when Madonna's funny, and even when she doesn't think she's being funny, but that moment where she's like, yeah, everything bothers me. And she goes, everything bothers me, like everything. And that was a very human moment, because we know this about her, but she paints herself a certain way, especially when she's promoting her product, and she said specifically at the beginning of this podcast, she's like, I'm not promoting anything, I'm not selling you anything, I'm not here for that. And that's the first time I think in her entire career that she has started an interview by saying that,
hmm
because there's
Even, even
always an angle.
even though she was sort of promoting the spiritual lessons with the Kabbalah on Kabbalah.com.
True, but
However,
I mean,
It's
but
Kabbalah
all
Water
of
2.0.
but it's like Liberty said. It's the same thing as Confessions, like Liberty pointed out. It's there if you're interested in it.
Hmm.
If you're like me and you're like red string what in the trash, never wore it. It was
Yeah.
still a wonderful little interview. I mean, the chat is alive with people talking about like their favorite parts. Because we haven't even talked about the "you judge me on a chapter of my life" line yet.
Yep.
Once again, Madonna is back to issuing slogans that would make excellent song titles. I'm just
Well,
hmm
they
saying.
just might be.
Well,
Yeah.
so that's the other thing that I wanted to ask is, when do we think this was recorded? Because as people pointed out, you
the
notice
roots.
the roots of her hair always are the tell. So currently, like she had just gotten, I think like 2 weeks ago, she had no roots, but those roots were kind of longish, not like end of celebration long, like down to her ear, but
Hmm.
there was some root. And yeah, people were wondering, like, when do we think this was, like a month ago, 2 months ago? Because she did say she was working on new music, as opposed to like, I've worked on this, so I'm wondering like how far in advance this was done.
I'm
a
thinking it
month
was in the
ago.
last 6 weeks. Yeah.
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 Because she
They
looks
needed time to
fresh.
smooth her out on the video. Like
Yeah.
that was fed through Sarah or whatever the new Google one is that makes videos. Like they clearly fed that through. Just even the balance and the lighting, I was like, that looks like AI. Which whatever, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I felt like, and I mean, to be
It's not quite black and white, right?
to be a little
No,
superficial on I was not happy with her eyes. Looked really tiny to me, and that's something that I find
that
very
makeup.
strange is because
Yeah,
her eyes are usually so big and
Hmm.
vibrant, and I felt like they almost like the way that they lined her eyes made them look really small, and that was just surprising to me because that's something that like when I
the eyeliner cut this way and then her lash went that way, and it like just the way the camera recorded it, you were like, oh, it almost looked like she had like a fake, like something on. It was very,
Yeah,
very
I was
interesting.
not happy with like because she has got such beautiful eyes. I mean, those are eyes that we've been looking at her entire career. And it was just strange for me to see that. That was the one thing that I noticed when I watched the video where I was like, oh, I don't feel like but I mean, her lighting was beautiful. I liked her outfit. I thought her hair looked
Hmm.
beautiful. It was very calming and very like mature and quiet and reserved. I felt like this is the Madonna that a lot of people are always like asking her to be. And yet now that she's done it, people are like quacking about like they're not giving her the dues that she's owed. Like people are always like, I wish she would dress her age. I wish she would act her age. Well, here you go,
There
people.
you go.
Why are you all silent now? Like you should be applauding her. I'm so happy that Madonna's dressing. Oh, I so love this. Like we don't get no one's doing that. Everyone's
Yeah.
just like silent.
I've made
Also,
peace
those
with the
shoes.
grill. I think that she likes the sound of her own voice with the grill. So let's.
Okay,
Let's talk
I
about
will.
the shoes. The
Yeah, the
shoes.
shoes.
Those
Yeah, yeah,
shoes were hot.
boots, right? They were boots, right?
Yeah,
Were
they are
they boots?
boots.
I couldn't really
Mhm.
tell. They didn't look like her typical, the ones that she likes that lace up. They had that cute little piece in the front, and that
Hmm.
heel came out and was nice and
With that,
wide.
yeah.
I was like, okay, that's nice and stable. Keep you walking so you're not teeter tottering.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah. The styling was beautiful.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've said
All
this
the
before.
Italian talking with her hands. I was like, oh, it's like I'm at my in-laws' house.
Yeah,
Ah,
like you did say though, Ben. I honestly, I would prefer to hear her without the grills. I think the grills slur her voice, and she doesn't sound like the Madonna that we know.
hmm.
I think it changes her vocal quality, and I think it changes the way she pronounces
The
certain words.
articulation.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Oh
articulate,
yeah.
perfect, exactly.
It sounds like she slurs like
Yeah,
Liza
yeah, yeah,
almost.
yeah. And I think it does her a disservice. I think
Yeah.
it makes her sound less intelligible than she really is.
I don't know if it's just that. I think there's some other factors at play. I'm not saying that she's on anything. I just mean that
Liberty's like she hit up happy hour before she went to the
no, no, no.
podcast.
No.
No, I'm referring to the shape of her mouth and
Yeah.
some of the
Some plumping, some plumping.
some changes there. I'm not saying any of that negatively. I'm noting what I think could also be at play
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
and I agree. I think which me personally, I never have cared whether she does grills or not. It does not bother me. I would have preferred on a podcast not to because
Yeah.
I think the clarity is important or the
Yeah,
articulation is important. But again, she's the manager of her
sure.
talent and not
Right.
I.
I
So
mean, look, exactly. Like we're all dressed the way that we want to. We
mhm.
cut our hair and style our hair and makeup or no makeup. Like no one's chastising us for how we want to do it.
Right.
And
Hmm.
therefore, right, Madonna, if it makes her comfortable to wear those grills and makes her feel more grounded, more power to her.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Which
I
kind
I
of
mean, I've gotten so used to her without them that now that it's such a staple in her attire. It's weird to hear her after, knowing her for so long in interviews and hearing her without them.
It brings to, well, it brings me to the point about what, like, my takeaway. She mentioned, like, and this is maybe just kind of a smallish thing, but how we're so attached to the physical.
Mm.
And given how we put so much importance upon what we see and how the person presents themselves, and again, it seems sort of to contradict or to counter all of the beautiful outfits that she wears and the lovely ways that she does her hair and the amazing face that she's giving all the time. We think, well, geez, I mean, aren't you attached to the physical?
Hmm.
Aren't you the one who's trying to look your best all the time? And I think it's easy to misinterpret, right? The message there. We're attached to the physical because it sends us messages about a person, right? It gives us
Hmm.
like an impression, if you will. Um, we maybe should be more attached to our own personal physical. Maybe
Yeah.
we should start thinking about, like, do I like how I'm dressed? Do I
Hmm.
like the way I
Hmm.
look? Do I like, instead of doing it for others, instead of doing it for, you know, some sort of aesthetically pleasing, or the likes on Insta, I think, which is also, even for me anyways, has even faded. Like, it's not as interesting anymore to post, selfies like I did 10 years ago and think like, oh, I really want people to like this because that will mean that I'm pretty. Um, it gives me a lot to think about, especially when I think about, like, okay, well, like, I'm trying to lose weight, right? But for what reason? What is the reason?
Hmm.
Is it because I think I want to look better, or is it because I want to feel
Hmm.
better?
Yeah.
Is it
Well,
for someone else? Is
it's
it
like
for
she
me?
said in the show, you can be a spiritual person and still shop at Prada.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Mm.
the two are
Speaking of
not
which,
exclusive.
I'm just looking at the picture of her behind you, Stefan. I think I'm going to go rewatch it. But imagine that it's not Madonna, it's Louise Oriole from the Bad Girl video.
Mm.
And we've met her. She's resurrected through Kabbalah. And we're meeting her 33 years later. I'm going to rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch it
Yeah,
as
one
with
thing
her
one
as Louise.
well, one thing that I was thinking about after listening to this is that it's hard for her to change because her identity is so a part of our lives, you know?
Yeah.
Like she can change herself physically, she can change herself spiritually, but she may not think that like that's enough, because, she came up wanting mass love, and
Hmm.
it's hard to just turn that off.
And look, is it enough? I mean, what do you
Yeah.
see every time she posts any kind of picture of herself? Either people love the look or they don't like, well, I don't
Hmm.
like picture number 3 in this carousel. Like, okay. And then you'll just see hundreds of negative, opinions about how she looks. And it's like, she just posts, she's not doing it because she wants you to like what she sees. This was the photo she liked for herself that she wanted
Right.
to
Hmm.
post.
Yeah.
So why, and it's never good enough. And I think that especially, and this is not exclusive to women, but for women, a lot, you know, is it does affect us, right? When
Hmm.
we hear, or when I read negative things and which nobody's done that to me, but when I read about, like, for her, for example, I think, like, if do you ever just, like, keep your mouth shut? Like, is there a reason you have to be this
Well,
way
I think
publicly?
social media has become what used to happen in like smaller neighborhoods where like somebody would put a lawn ornament on their lawn and the neighbors would be all kikiing with each other,
Hmm.
being like, "Oh my God, did you see what Joan put on her lawn? I can't believe she would do that." Or like they painted their house that color, like when she
Yeah.
painted the stripes on her castle in LA and people were like appalled that she
Yeah.
would do that. Social media has become a grand way of people weighing in on things where, and she's even said this, it's like, do things that make yourself happy. Don't do it for somebody else. Like I'll do stuff on social media, like record a stupid selfie video of me like commenting about something just for me. I don't
Yeah.
like, if somebody doesn't get it, I don't care.
One
And
thing I noticed
I
today too, and it's like the media for whatever reason, loves to put Madonna in her place for whatever that means, you know? So for example, what I mean by that is I Googled her name and news just to get, just to read different articles about the podcast and to get different photos. And the lead photo in at least I lost count, but it was a lot of of
GMTV
clickbait. Well, anyway, they keep
picture.
showing the same photo.
Yeah.
Yes, Liberty, the same unflattering photo of her with the cheeks, the
Oh,
red
from the
hair braids.
Grammys, from the
Yeah,
Grammys.
and it's
Yep.
like that
Oh, was
was
it Grammys? Okay.
5, 6
Yeah,
years
that was the
ago. Let it
Grammy.
go. She doesn't look like that. That was one night. But it's Daily Mail. It's those kind of publications, and it's just incredibly frustrating. And for us, I mean, I can only imagine what it's like for her, I mean,
Mhm.
she says she
I,
doesn't look at
I,
things, but
well,
she
I
knows,
feel like she knows enough to know, just like any of us do, that a large percentage of what you see on social media is fake.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
AI bots and it's garbage. I mean, we were just talking in the group chat about discovering the whole thing with Spotify removing all the bot accounts, and that's why certain artists have like vanished, and it's because they're not getting any streams
Right.
because it was all fake. And you think about, I mean, I think back to the early days of Instagram, and a friend of mine worked at Google. This is like 2012, and he was like, "Oh, if you can get like 15,000 followers, I could probably get you sponsorship." And now you have to get millions. But how are people getting those millions? They're paying
Hmm.
farms. That Russian troll farm in St. Petersburg that's trying to hijack 50 public schools is also taking a check from the Kardashians and whomever else to post on their account, including negative accounts, because that drives engagement, because that's
Mm.
how the algorithm. That's why somebody mentioned this in the chat, and I was like, I'll be remiss if I don't figure out a way to work this in. But she did speak about AI, even
Yeah.
though she has used AI, like those creepy Veronica Electronica
Yeah.
Oh, the
clips.
animated videos. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that disturbed me to the bottom of my groin. I was like, what are you doing to me? I do not want to see that, because I was there when that was real,
Right.
and I know that that's not real. And
Well, there's a new
th-
one going around. Did you see it? It's
oh,
like it's her morphine from like different eras, and it's like
And none of them look like her.
well, the body proportions are completely out of
Hmm.
I don't
control.
want to see that. I
Yeah.
don't want to
Some
see
of the
that.
body proportions, she looks like she's 7 foot tall, and I'm like, her body is not this long. Like, if
Yeah.
you're like whoever's producing the AI, please retrain it to Madonna's actual proportions because they're
Yeah.
not currently right. And please stop sharing that.
When I
Like,
saw that,
it's
I wanted to call
appalling.
the manager of AI and file a complaint. It was like,
Yeah.
this is not what it's used for, people, you
Yeah.
know?
If somebody doesn't come up on here this stage and do something about AI, we are
Hmm.
not doing a show.
No. We
Right.
are not
I'm
releasing an album next year.
I'm waiting. Um, yeah. So some of the other stuff that she talked about, I just want to like fire off real quick because again, like I said, we don't have enough time to talk or
Yeah.
rehash the 2 hours that she. But she said success is having a spiritual life. So I guess maybe that's why I'm not overly
That's why I'm
overly
Yeah,
poor.
right.
successful because I don't have she as I said, she's channeling light. She's a vessel for it. Her goal is to share that light with other people, whether that be through her music, her relationships with people as a friend or as a mother. She's not the owner of her talent. She's the manager. And she thinks when you channel artistic vision, it's magic. Hashtag
Yep.
magic. You knew she was going to
I
get that in
always
there
do
somewhere.
the same thoughts.
I was like, oh, here we
Oh
go.
my
Uh,
God.
the work.
Basically, if you want a good recap of this podcast, just listen to Nothing Really Matters.
Yes, yes,
And,
yes.
Yeah.
and there you go. And
Finally,
Um,
Substitute for
somebody
Love,
said it.
But
Yeah.
she said consciousness is everything. Some of the worst things that happen to you are the best things that happen to you.
Yeah.
And for everyone who bitch, moaned, whined, and complained during the Madame X era or the Celebration tour, the reason she was late was because she was praying. So back off because she apparently prays for a long time.
Yeah. You don't know what she was doing
Yes,
before she was late.
she was praying.
Yeah.
She was
Let's
praying.
not to take that funny moment, she did have a lot of people she probably was praying for at that time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, I mean, again, it kind of goes back to on our end, it's easy to be annoyed. It's easy to find like fault. Who knows? I mean, I do things all of the time that they're idiosyncrasies. They're things that I do that, irritate people. And I'm sure that I don't even realize that I'm doing it. Now, yes, she's been sued, so she's aware, but I don't know. I just feel like can we just take what she says as truth and move
Yeah.
on with our lives?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah. She talked about her bacterial infection. And I thought this was actually a kernel of brilliance where she was saying how she didn't know when she was going to get better. And she was like, she just kept waiting for that. And then her Kabbalah instructor had told her, the sooner you accept what is happening to you and that you don't know when it will end is when it will end. And,
Wow.
and I thought that was so brilliant to sort of like, because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And I applied this to me because it reminds me of the suffering that I endure waiting for her to put out a new album. And I was like, we don't know when it's going to arrive. We just need to accept that we don't know. And then eventually it will be here. But like, it's that, time goes by so slowly for those who wait. She talks like, I love that, like, she feeds sort of like in her songs, in her, like the stuff that she's learning in Kabbalah, she's sort of feeding it in. Nothing really matters,
Mm-hmm.
like it's all there. She's just like sneakily putting it in. And yes, it is suffering, Ben. It's suffering.
You need to pray.
Yeah. And then, as we mentioned earlier, she did talk about her reconciliation with her brother Christopher. I thought that was probably one of the most endearing parts of the chat, because that was such a big public uproar. They were so close, and then they had a very big falling out because of the book. And then he dies, and we learn that, like, she was there to help him and do what she can. I'm curious to see what those two songs, so the two songs she mentioned, Fragile and Forgive Yourself, are two songs that she wrote basically about Christopher.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to be out on some dance floor in San Francisco in the Castro dancing my ass off to a song about forgiving myself.
Now, and somebody had messaged me and said they felt that the titles of those songs sounded not silly, but like sounded weak or like not. They didn't hold the gravitas of what they felt a Madonna song title should sound like. And my
Yeah.
pushback
I have
was,
sorry.
sorry,
Eating spirit.
Frozen. I'm like, if somebody had told
Jump.
me like Frozen, exactly. Like the thing about Madonna that we love is that she is able to take something, dial it down into what would seem like a very simplistic thing, and yet still makes it absolutely brilliant. I
Yeah.
don't know what Forgive Yourself sounds like, but just hearing her talk about, if you can't forgive me, forgive yourself. That's the chorus over and over and over again. I was like, I'm going to be dancing to that next year, and I'm going to be so happy. And you're not even going to, you're going to hear me talk about it over and over and over again. And we're all going to look back on
Yeah.
this interview and be like, oh, see, she teased it. That's when
No,
she talked about it.
So true what you said. I mean, the other day I was walking somewhere and I heard Jump by Van Halen, and I thought, there's Jump by Van Halen, there's Jump by Pointer Sisters, but Jump by Madonna is the one that registers, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like you said, she takes a simple concept and infuses it with her brilliance, and it becomes something completely different that no one can compare it to,
That's her
Yeah.
cleverness in
Yeah.
songwriting in general,
Yes.
because it's always something quite like, oh, I didn't think of that. That
Yeah.
is usually like the best. I am always, and again, just like you were saying a moment ago, what lyric was it you were just saying that this is what was it? You just said it. It's like somebody.
The if you can't forgive me, forgive yourself.
No.
Oh, time
Time
goes
goes by.
by so
Like
slowly for those who wait.
I actually had never associated that with with her spirituality or with Kabbalah at all. And now I'm like, oh, yeah, that's 100% like a Kabbalah teaching.
That was a seed that we got in the back,
Yeah, and
in the
that's what
back
she
end.
does. She puts those kernels in like in every song. I mean, Jump, of course, is Kabbalah. It's like certainty, right?
Tree of
Yeah.
Life, yeah.
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 I mean, the whole album of Confessions, if you just read the song titles as a list of words, it is so mid. It's just,
Right.
but then like that album is iconic and like Get Together is in my top five. But that is like
Mhm.
when I remember when those started leaking the titles, I was worried.
Me too,
Oh, I was
especially with
worried.
Isaac. I'm like, what's happening here? Forbidden
Right.
Love.
Oh,
Is she putting Forbidden Love back on
Push.
this album?
I know when Forbidden Love push, like I mean, oh my God, when you just talk about it like that, they all sound so bad.
And Let
But
It Will
like,
Be always screwed with my head because I'm like,
Yeah.
that's grammatically incorrect, Madonna.
yeah,
Yes.
but it works,
It worked.
especially in the
It
remix
works.
version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah, so for those doubters out there, like again, we haven't even heard it. Like it's so out of context for us right now. Give it a Stuart Price beat and a hooky Madonna melody, and you're on board. Trust me, you're gonna
Now,
love
I
it.
have a question, because Madonna, she is the queen of reinvention. Her accent reinvents itself whenever it's convenient. Will it be fragile or fragile
Mm.
or fragile?
maybe she'll go
Uh,
back to Mission and it'll be fragile.
Fragile.
well, and then we
I'm just
can't.
happy to have Madonna back in the
Yeah, I was
ether.
gonna say, and obviously this is the beginning of the PR cycle. Like it wasn't the official launch of the album, but it's putting her back in the space.
Yeah.
And then the very next, I mean, that same day, she's storming the streets of France and showing up at the YSL show, which I don't know if you saw it. Did you see all the hydrangeas?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like the YSL logo in
That's what
hydrangeas.
she
I
was
was like,
whispering to Gautier in his ear, and
Right.
he's like,
whose
"Ooh,
fault?
yeah."
Who's responsible for this? But her and Lola, as you can see in Ben's backdrop, showed up. Ben thinks they had pot brownies before they took the stage.
They took some dummies.
But they looked
Look at
gorgeous.
that dirt face. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
I happen to
I
love the
love it.
photo
Yeah.
Oh,
because
I love it. That's what they look so happy. And Madonna is like, look at her. She's trying, she's like, even with my Botox, I'm about to like all this like break
Mhm.
out in a smile. I
the
mean, and
perma
Lola's like,
smile.
come on, come on, come
Now,
on.
Stefan, you did correctly mention that this is the beginning of her kind of starting to roll out and
Yep.
come out publicly. However, I will say we probably won't see much or hear much from Madonna in the next 2 months because there's a little girl named Taylor who's got an album coming out on Friday.
Right. Yeah. Although someone had given me a heads up that on like a Madonna message board somewhere, and I don't go on those because I
Yeah,
just
it's too much.
I can't. I have to separate. I have to have some sort of
But it
separation
could be
from
your
Madonna.
third space.
Ah!
No, but on a message board, somebody had said that the album will come out next year, but that the bedtime stories extra chapter is meant to come out this fall. And so I thought, oh,
Wait,
in time for the 31st anniversary of the album, it'll
I've
come out in
I've
October.
seen in different places fans mention the date October 10th, and
That's apparently the Veronica Electronica CD release, like the
like
physical
physical
CD.
CD.
Yeah,
Okay,
physical
all right.
CD.
Well, whoever
But
gets it, good luck.
but yeah, that was on a message board that maybe the unreleased chapter of Bedtime Stories will come out before the album. And I thought, okay, that would be lovely because at least it'd be
Hmm.
something new. But yeah, I'm happy if the album comes out next year, as long as she's putting stuff in
Yeah.
place. We know things are coming. We know it's happening. I've already got I don't know if you can see, I got my new
Yeah.
t-shirt.
Oh, nice.
Oh, she's
Oh,
floating.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
no,
she's
yeah,
she's
because
she's
floating in
floating.
the.
Wait, hold it. Wait. Yeah, it's the purple background, the pink and purple where she's on the bed. The one that Ben and I were like, this needs to be a t-shirt. It's
yeah,
a t-shirt
it's a
now.
t-shirt.
It looks much better
Um,
actually on a t-shirt than
yeah.
I
I
thought.
love it. I know it looks really good. It's yeah, and thank you. I wanted to give a public shout out to, we have some of the best listeners here at MLVC. I want to give a shout out to Niklas, who was the lovely person who contacted me on Twitter and said, "Here you go." And I was like, "Oh, I did have to buy it. It wasn't a gift, but I
Well,
was like,
duh.
I'll spend $20 and to get a T-shirt."
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You manifested that.
there we go. Yeah, I put it out there, and
And there it was.
yes. But yeah, Ben, anything in the chat that we need to address? Were there questions,
We don't.
comments?
We would have a whole second pot. The chat was like is crazy busy tonight. Like,
Oh, good. Lots
uh,
of
I did ask a poll. Did people a poll? What's a poll? That no. Anyway, um,
You're
did
always
you
starting this
listen?
gay shit, Ben, you know?
I mean, uh, I said, did you listen? Did you watch, or did you do both? And most people watched.
Okay.
See, I listened because I wanted to take it in before work started,
Mhm.
and the podcast didn't premiere until 10 a.m. Eastern. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to work and watch this. Like, I would have to be like
Yeah.
faffing off of work, and I just can't do that because it's busy season. But so I woke up at 6 a.m. and listened to the podcast. I thought, oh, it'll be over in an hour, and then I can get. And I'm like, oh my god, it's 2 hours.
I know. Yeah,
I
I
was like,
did. I didn't watch it. I listened to it, but mostly because it was like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this for years for Madonna to be on a podcast.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe now that she's broke her cherry, that she'll be more open and receptive to possibly coming on MLVC before we eventually call it quits. You know, come on,
Yeah, and we
Madonna.
promise it'll be just like you're being touched for the very first time.
Yeah, and she can talk about whatever she wants. I
We
mean,
Yeah,
can talk about Nikki
spirituality.
Finn.
yeah, I mean,
Nikki Finn's
You
spirituality.
you should be careful about that. She's liable to have an assistant like watch old episodes and make a list of all the issues she has with anything
I'll be
we've
like,
said, and she is going to
let's
come on here and scold us.
be like, Madonna, we have 3 names for you, and we want you to tell us what you think about Rebecca Carlson, Nikki Finn, and Louise Oriole. And she'll be like,
Oh,
Zoom
you
click.
honestly, she could like come on, she could come on and talk. I have some questions that I keep a little running list of like
So do
questions that
I.
I would ask if Madonna was to ever come on the show, and I just keep adding to it every now and again. But honestly, I don't think she wants to be interviewed. You know, like what's your favorite color?
know.
What's your favorite outfit? I think she wants to have
Yeah,
conversations
she
like
wants to be
this.
prompted. Yeah.
Yeah, and
My
that's
God,
fine.
what if she wanted to come on and have a Barbara Streisand style conversation about like the movie episodes and all her movies, and she'd be like, "Oh, that scene in Body of Evidence, I didn't like that hat, and I told him it didn't look good." Could you imagine?
I would
Ben, I
love
would
that.
I would literally die on
A
screen, you
Madonna
know?
Summer
That would
Movie
be
Series
so
Yeah.
much
episode with
fun
Madonna. I mean, that'd
to
be.
get her to talk about her movies.
That's all I want to talk to
I
her
would love
about.
to talk to her about her movies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's manifest it.
Hmm.
Her movies or her album. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
would love to hear like the way that she talked with Kurt Loder when they were doing the Ray of Light deep dive. Like I love that stuff. Like
Hmm.
that's the stuff I want to hear her talk. Like I want to hear her talk in depth about. And again, maybe she can't talk about the creative process because, as she mentioned with on Jay Shetty, she can't pay attention. Like she's writing a song and it just happens. And Liberty, that made me smile because that reminded me of like when you and I were creating your album, there were certain times where like we would finish a song and be like, I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah. That's
Like,
almost every time. I mean,
yeah.
there's a lot of times where it takes a lot longer and it's not,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, but sometimes
I
Liberty,
totally related.
I would send Liberty a track and she'd send it back to me, and I'm like, I don't know how we pulled this together, but we did. And so when Madonna said that, I was
Yeah.
like, yes, that's validation.
I mean, remember when she talked about making Into the Groove? She had to finish it really fast because she wanted to go out with a Puerto Rican boy upstairs.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Priorities.
Thank
Yeah.
God for her speed and efficacy, you know?
Well, everybody, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't watched the interview of Madonna and Jay Shetty and her instructor, Eitan, set aside some time. If you've listened to it, I suggest you go watch it. It's fascinating to watch her.
It's like butter.
Yes, like 2 sticks of butter. And remember, everybody, you can find us on all social platforms at MLVC Podcast. If you'd like to donate to the show, we're on Venmo at MLVC Podcast. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, tick that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Yeah, I mean, that's it for now. We've got some fun stuff coming up this fall. Somebody did message me, will you please do a something to remember 30th anniversary episode? That's coming.
Sure, why not?
That's coming. Will you do an episode devoted to Justify My Love and the
Of
Immaculate Collection
course.
anniversary? Absolutely. Will you do something for the 20th anniversary of Confessions on a Dance Floor? You know we will.
Yes.
So it's going to be a packed fall. It's action-packed, fun adventures. So even though Madonna might not be releasing any new music, MLVC is there for you.
I might get my wig out for the confessions.
Oh, yeah. I need to get a red wig with some little Farrah.
Like we should all get like a Farrah Fawcett wig.
I'm going to get a wig and a leotard. And
You guys wear a wig, I'll wear a white suit, all right?
Oh, yes. Whatever your favorite Confessions look is. I'm going to get that purple jacket that she wears in Sorry.
Oh, I want the big red heavy chainmail dress.
You know
Tina
the story
Turner.
about that jacket? The
Oh.
jacket was like they borrowed it from somebody that was on set, and the
Yeah.
girl
She
never
never-
got
and
and
she
the girl never
never-
got it
they
back.
Never
Yeah.
gave it back to her. Yeah. Oh well. Hey, it's a famous jacket now. You
Yeah.
know, like look at what happened to poor Susan. Roberta took her jacket and she never gave it back.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
know
what
she didn't
happens.
even wear it
History.
as well as she did, but
Yeah,
anyway,
she
that's
did.
another
Yeah,
story.
that's another time. So everyone, thanks for joining. Thanks for listening, watching, wherever you're at in your Madonna life, taking this podcast in. You three stay where you're at. Remember, everybody, until next time, bless yourself and genuflect.
Bye.